Well, good evening. This is Carneros. Welcome to Talking in Stations. This is my co-host, Rich Richmond. Tonight we are, once in a while we meet an interesting new person. Let me turn down my volume. Okay, there. Now it's not talking back to me. Recently we meet a really interesting new person. And recently Rich and I got to meet such a person. And we want to introduce you to her. She is a rising star in the current EVE meta. You need to know her name and what she's about. On behalf of Talking in Stations, it is my honor to work with my friend Rich to introduce you to DarKdeZ of Chuangshi Corporation and Fraternity. Say hello, Dark.
Hello guys, I'm DarKdeZ and you can just call me Dark or I prefer you to call me D, just D. Yeah, and I have a lot of titles and roles and you will know me better as we talk, maybe. I hope so.
Nice. Rich, let them get to hear your voice as well.
Sure, and I'm Rich Richmond, and I'm glad to be part of this introduction with D.
Nice. I'm excited to get to meet you better, D. Let's start by asking you to tell us a little bit about your background as a gamer. What kind of games do you usually play?
I actually play quite a lot of different games. Like I mainly play Dota 2. I was actually a semi-professional player in Dota 2, and of course I play EVE. And I just play different stuff like FPS game, RTS game. I always want to try everything, just like what I did in EVE. Yeah.
Yeah, in EVE you do a little bit of everything. But tell us, how did you find EVE? How did you get introduced to it?
Okay, this is actually quite simple. So, when I was in China, I was just surfing internet to find a new game to play, and then I found EVE, and I thought, EVE in that time and also even nowadays, it's very different from other games and it's quite unique. So then I just tried the games. It's actually back in 2013 and I think I was too young to play this game. I can't even pass the new player missions. So I gave that in 2013. But then 2 years later in 2015, I remember that game and want to try it again and maybe get more involved into it, and I success and I finally passed the new player missions, and then I got into this game by playing Serenity. I played Serenity for about 3 years. Then I came to America myself, so I decided to switch to Tranquility, and now I'm here.
Now, EVE Online is a very different game compared to the ones you've previously mentioned. The games that you've mentioned, such as Dota and FPS games, they are a lot more reactionary. They're a lot more based on fast reactions and Twitch shooters, as they call them. What attracted you to EVE Online? It's a lot more slower game. It is an MMO, and fast reaction times on the larger scale things aren't as important.
I think the first thing that actually attract me is that, usually in most of games, some things like stealing, like cheating, it's not allowed, right? So you can't just make a fake contract and just get money from that. That's illegal for most of the games. But in EVE, you can actually do that, and you can do that without being punished. And I think that's quite interesting because it's more like real life. You can decide what you do, and sometimes you get sometimes you got punished by doing wrong, but sometimes you don't. And also, like you can kill people in high sec, like there's no safe zones, so you have to always be aware of where you are and what you are doing. Yeah, I think that's why I like this game.
How was Tranquility different from Serenity for you? Were there any surprises when you got here?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is time zone problem, because in Serenity there are only Chinese player playing, so mostly people are in China, so the big fights always happen during Chinese time zone prime, which is the evening of China. But in Tranquility, it's quite different because there are people all over the world playing this game, and basically you can get fights all the time. Like there are players all around, like 24 hours straight, right? Yeah, I think that's the biggest difference.
During your time in
It's interesting. Go ahead.
Sorry. During your time in Serenity, did you do anything in particular? What did you learn there?
Okay, so when I was in Serenity, I was actually just a F1 monkey in a no-sec block. Yeah. Serenity is relatively simple than Tranquility because they are all Chinese. There are no communication issues. Everyone just play this game they just play this game to get some entertainment. But like in Tranquility, there are something rise to national level, like, right? So maybe sometimes you want to fight another person just because he's from another country, right? Yeah, that's very different. So Serenity is more peaceful, I'd say, and it's more simple. So yeah, I actually didn't do anything really big or really surprising in Serenity. I was just casually playing as a no-sec player.
I want to point out that you use the term "you can get a fight in any time zone," and that's not the way most F1 monkeys talk. Tell us what happened when you got to Tranquility. You changed.
Yeah, I really changed
You
it
sound
out.
like
Okay.
an FC.
What made you switch to Tranquility?
Like I said, I was studying in China, right? I was in China in high school, and then I decided to move to US to maybe get some diversity on my vision. So I went to a US college, and so I'm physically in US now, and it's better for me to play Tranquility because of the lag. It's better, and also I want to. I was trying to actually practice my English because my English is not good. It was not good, and it's not good enough even now, right? Yeah, so that's the reason.
No, your English is fine.
Now, what do you like
No worries.
better about Tranquility than Serenity? And is there anything that Serenity did better than Tranquility does?
Was Serenity did better? Let me see. Okay, I actually don't really know. Okay, so maybe Serenity we can get like bigger scale fights. Just like I said, we are heavily in one time zone together, so all the fights happen around that time zone. So that's the reason we can gather more people in a single fight. So it's really common in Serenity to get 1,000 people fight, but in Tranquility, it's really rare, right?
I see.
Now, when you came to Tranquility, did you immediately join fraternity, or how did you find fraternity?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I joined fraternity just because my like my corp in Serenity moved to Tranquility as well. So I just followed my corp in Serenity because they decided to join fraternity. So do I. Yeah, the reason is quite simple.
And are we talking about Chuangshi? Is that your corporation? Okay.
Yes.
And I noticed in the corporation description that you're listed as a diplomat. Is that true? Is that correct?
Oh yeah, I think that's the reason is because my corp is heavily dependent. I mean, the main corp members are Chinese, and they are mainly in China. So there was not really a person who can speak English like more properly, or maybe yeah. So basically, I was the person who can only talk in English. So yeah, that was the original reason for me to be the diplomat.
Now, I noticed in one of the fraternity renting alliances, as your citizen, that you're also listed as a contact. So you've got quite a lot of roles in fraternity. How did this happen? Did you begin in fraternity as somebody of rank, or did you just start off as a regular line member?
I started as a line member, and one day I was following Nora's Muni fleet, and that's the first time I follow his fleet, and I found his voice is quite attractive. Yeah, and I think I like this guy. So I have did a lot of things in other games before. Like some people may say there are great things, like I'm kind of a bit of known in other games. So yeah, I decided to put my effort in this game and maybe get some more opportunities in the alliance level, like FCs and other stuff. Yeah, and then I just try to first I started with corp level fleets. Like I just take my corp members to a smaller fleet and fly around, and then I try to do green light. Yeah, and I just do things regularly, and now I'm a Alliance FC right now.
Okay, let's back up for a second and explain to people what the greenlight culture and tradition is in the fraternity, because they might not all know what that is.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Yeah, a green light is basically just it's a protection for super capitals to red. Yeah, so if it's green light, your super capitals will be protected, and if you actually lose a super capital during green light, you will get SRP for that. So that's basically how we gather people together, and that's mainly how no sec block works, because we have longer green light, we have better rating income, and that's why people likely to join a no sec alliance, because it's safer.
Okay, so when you were talking about trying green light fleets, you mean being on the protection fleet and being the FC of the protection fleet. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Nice. And where'd you go from there? What else did you FC?
What else do I FC? Okay, so I first started. Okay, so for Alliance level, I started with Greenlight FC, and then I thought Greenlight is a bit boring because it's basically dropping supers on everything. There's that's not really competitive, because you are because all the fights or nearly all the fights are just single-handedly winning. So I decided to take this out and maybe try something that is fair, because I like fair stuff. I don't like one-handed wars. That's really boring, and you don't really learn anything from those. Yeah, so then I started to try. I think first I started with Munich because Munich is the main doctrine of fraternity, and it's still the main doctrine. So I started from that, and then I started to try different shapes because of the like the track-loving shapes come out, and so I tried the Kikimura fleet. Back then when Kikimura was not nerfed, it's quite strong, and yeah, you can basically kill big stuff with those. Yeah, so I tried Kikimuras. Yeah, and then I basically just FC everything because after you know how to FC Muni's and Kikimuras, it's much easier for you to learn other doctrines to fly, right?
Yeah, I do remember, fighting you a few times in fraternity space. I believe there was one time where you had was it a hurricane fleet or something, and you wanted to. It was a fairly fair fight, and we were keen to engage. And somebody warped their carrier in, and this is the first time I've seen a FC do this. But you threaten them in local to tell them, get the carrier off field. We're trying to have a fight here. If you stay here, I'll leave you to die. And then there was another time where we had a Rorqual tackled, and you wanted to get a fight, but you couldn't bring enough subcaps, so it was a shame. And you said sorry in local, and you dropped the hammer on us. It's quite different to the times I fought against other FCs who they just wordlessly, they don't want to fight, they'll just drop supers and we have to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so this is it's kind of like my personal style, and there are quite a lot of people who are against me on this because so usually people in no sec blogs, they are trying to not giving they are trying to not give the content to like wormholers or low side PvPers, because if they get content here, they will come here more often. Yeah, but I'm quite different because I love content. So if I just drop supers on everything, they won't come here again, and I will just get no game experience on PvP. So yeah, so that's the reason I was yelling at people who drop supers or capitals on subcaps, because yeah, I just like fair fights, as I said, because that's the way you can actually be a better FC and be a better player in general, and even be a better person, because life is not fair, right? You can't just win everything single-handedly. Sometimes you might meet some difficulties. Sometimes your strength is not enough for you to do something easily. So you need some practice, or you need some difficulties for you. It's better for your life. Yeah, so
very
that's
wise.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's more like, because if it's not really just a game, right? It's more than a game. I think many people agree with this.
Yeah.
How did you do in the green light home defense fleets? At that point, you stood out, but what allowed you to rise so quickly doing the green light fleets in fraternity?
Oh, I'm sorry. So do you mean why I become a Green Light FC?
Yeah. Why did you become a green light FC, and who taught you to do a lot of these things?
Okay, so the reason I wanted to be a Green Light FC is because fraternity is a Chinese alliance, and it's very heavy dependent on Chinese people. So back then, all the green lights were during Chinese time zone. But we do have English members, quite a lot of English members in this coalition, in Winter Coalition. And I really wanted to extend the green light to maybe American time zone or even European time zone, so that the English speaking members can get better experience as well. So that's why I started to become a green FC, because I live in America, so my time zone is more friendly to English members. Yeah, so I wanted to make a longer green light for all the people.
Nice. And this was your idea?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Do you fleet command in both languages?
Yeah. I usually do Chinese fleets, but I did quite a lot English fleets, and also sometimes, like between time zones, I have to do bilingual fleets because there are both English people and Chinese people in my fleet. Yeah, so I just use two mumbles and speak two language to different people. It's quite
Nice.
hard, actually. Your brain will get messed when you do that for a long time.
Yes. I understand. You have one question from the chat, which I'll pass to you.
Okay.
Which is, how do you handle wormhole groups or small gangs that come into your space? What's your favorite way to approach those?
Oh, yeah. I actually like this question, actually. Okay, so because because I am a small gun player myself, I'm playing in Wormhole as a small gun PvP right now. So, and back then when we meet like Wormhole small gun people, because they were basically, they usually don't do doctrines. So like everyone fights different shapes. So I tend to fight this way myself. So I tell people to get like small gun shapes instead of just going munings all around, right? And in this way, I think it's better for experience, and also it's more fun for wormholers, because fighting 20 munings is not fun at all, right? They just one shot you and there's no way to outplay or something.
I do believe that with this strategy, you became quite esteemed, and there was a special group that you founded in Fraternity that it became a bit of a terror for any small gang groups looking to roam Fraternity space, because to us, we were fighting ourselves, except they were even richer, and they had other people to support them potentially. Now, this group, it was called D-Line. What can you tell me about this group?
Oh, okay. So D-Line Force. It's D-Line Force. So it's I won't say it's an organization because it might be too big, but it's just let's say it's a friend group. So we had some people from European time zone and the American time zone in fraternity back then, and they are all Chinese. And it was really hard to get any content during these time zones in fraternity, like 1 years ago. Yeah, so we gathered together. So we wanted to try our best to actually fight people, to fight the rumors in those time zones in fraternity space. And we were usually outnumbered. Yeah, I know it's really weird to hear that fraternity got outnumbered, but in US and European time zone, it was actually is. So, and then we tried a Dracovic doctrine, which is the new Chekhovian ship. Yeah, and I think we did quite successful. And that's the time I actually get some sense of small gun PvP and get a sense of fighting more people instead of one way single-handedly wins. So I learned how to fight. Like
when you when you say small gang and Drekovacs, how many are you picturing? 10, 25? 5?
I think the biggest number we got is 12, I think. Yeah. I still remember one time we fight 12 people with 3 Djokovics. Yeah. It was really tough. But it's like there's no way to get more people, so we have to, like, the situation is like that, so we have to work something out or we'll just get nothing, right? So even though we lost that fight, I remember, I think we lost 2 Djokovics and only one survived. We still won so we were still efficient, and I was really glad of that.
Bravo.
So I do know that a lot of the members of D-Line Force have now, well, gone off to found small gang groups and join small gang groups of their own. There's Jane Hobb, MCMC, and a lot of them. Who were these players that were picked to or sort of join this group?
Okay, so I have to say that not a lot of people love to play small gun in fraternity because I think that's kind of a Chinese thing. We tend to fight together and win together, sometimes even lose together. So we Chinese more like, we like group fights more, which is like the city fleets and stuff. So just so quite a little people like small gun stuff, and they are one of the many. Yeah, and the reason why they join other corps like Goring is because fraternities, fraternities have too many blues right now. They have too many allies right now. I think more than half the map nowadays are allies of fraternity. So it's quite difficult to find content outside of fraternity space. Like if you use a filament out, lots of times you just get to blue space like PFM or even a third citizen, right? So that's the reason they left fraternity, because they can get more content and fight more people. Yeah, and that's actually the reason my main character is not in fraternity as well, because I want more content as well.
Yes, I believe somebody called the new group that they joined, Esports Patopia, they called it the Chinese Goran. They were some really top-notch players. It's really surprised us. Now, what is the name origin of D-Line? What's the story behind it?
Okay, so that's actually a meme in Serenity. So in Serenity, there's a meme called K-Line Force. So by saying K-Line Force, it's like a mystery force. So there's a legend in Chinese server goes, there's a mystery force that is very strong and quite competitive. It's called K-Line Force, and whenever someone needs it, it will come. Yeah, it's more like a urban legend. Yeah, and then I changed the name. I changed the K-Line to D-Line because my ID starts with D, of course. So I want to make that to be true. So I want to make a real, mysterious but strong force that is actually in this game. Yeah, so that's the origin of the name.
Brilliant. You're bringing a legend to life. It's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Well, in Eve, what do you enjoy the most? Have you dabbled into industry, for example, or mining or ratting or mission running, or is it just mainly PvP that you do?
Okay, so yeah, like I said, I always want to try something out. So I have tried quite a lot of stuff in this game. Like I can't really name all of them. Like for PvP wise, I do small gun, I do abyssal PvP, I do filaments, I do FC, right? And I also do PvE stuff. Like I'm not like some elite PvP or something. So for example, I run abyssal PvE, like the abyssal filaments, but the PvE ones. And also I do capital writing, I do DD escalations, and also I do incursions, lots of stuff. I basically tried everything, like either in high sec, low sec, or no sec, and even wormhole space. I tried wormhole capital writing as well. Yeah, basically everything.
Nice. Not to change the subject, but tomorrow night's show in this time slot, Talking in Stations is going to be talking about incursions as the main topic, but also it will be a normal show and they'll have the normal news portions and everything. Tonight's show is just an interview with D, but there'll be sort of a more normal programming tomorrow night, and it's about incursions. But yeah, you missed one thing from that list that I was waiting for you to say, which was your tournament participation. Tell us about that.
Yes, yeah. I'm going to participate in the Hunger Games. I think it's actually happening this Saturday. So the first match will be on this Saturday. And this is actually the first time I try a tournament, but I think, okay, well, of course, the biggest reason for me to not try it until now is because the alliance tournaments are no longer there, right? So back when I was in Serenity, I heard about alliance tournament. I was really into that. I really want to try it, but when I came to Tranquility, it was gone. Yeah, it's really sad. So nowadays the continuing the Hunger Games, it's not really an official tournament. It's more like a player-based tournament. Yeah, but I still want to try that because it's CCP sponsored. Yeah, and I will be the captain of D-Line Force. Yeah, the same name as the D-Line Force.
Well, when it comes to the combat things, what kind of fleets do you enjoy commanding the most? There are some people that, well, small gang and you do the smallest size fleets, but there's also people who do the massive Titan fights or the massive subcap fights. But what kind do you prefer doing the most?
I'd say small gun is my favorite, but saying fleet, I like people. I mean, I like fleet size around maybe below 70 or below 100 because I really hate tie-dye. It's really a pain for me to experience a large fleet fight because, like your gun cycle once every minute, right? that was a pain. So yeah, I prefer smaller scale fights.
Do you get to command these small scale fights, or have you had much involvement in the war and all the tie-dye fights that have happened in there?
Yeah, like I said, I hate tie-dye, so that's the reason. Yeah, I actually participated in World B, but I was not into it because like every fight is at least 300 people, 400 people, and yeah, it's just not for me. I guess.
I can't really disagree with that. I'm mostly fighting in Esoteria where the fleets are much smaller too. So yeah, I know what you mean. Now you were impressed with Norris when you came over to Tranquility and flew in his fleets. Has he flown in any of your fleets?
Oh yes. Oh, I remembered something. Okay, so Norris is known for cursing people during fleet, right? Like he will curse people loud when someone made some mistake. Yeah.
Oh,
and
no.
and I remember I was cursed by him once, and after that, okay, so I was thinking about he's always right. Seriously, I was thinking about he was always right and he won't make mistakes. But one day he was following my feet, and he literally made every mistake possible in that fleet. And I was like so mad. You told us to not do those all the time, but why are you doing it yourself? And he was like, sorry, I'm really sorry. That was so funny.
That is funny. In the Imperium, we have a joke expression that we say, FCs make the worst line members. And we tease people who screw up on that. I remember one time on a Saturday night swarm, Merkel Chen was the FC, and the Mittani was in fleet on an alt that no one knew, and he was screwing up constantly, flying a saber. And Merkel Chen almost just had the whole fleet target him and blow him up. And as he started to do that, he realized who it was and just shook his head, face palmed. But I'm pretty sure the Mittani was probably drunk that night. But hey, if you haven't been playing in a little while and you get drunk and join a fast-paced fleet as a light interdictor, you're going to make mistakes.
No pressure, huh, to have your alliance leader in your own fleet?
Oh, why is? Oh no, I don't have any pressure because one thing I believe that is that whoever is the FC owns the fleet or like is the only leader of the fleet. Like even though you are alliance leader or you are literally the CEO of fraternity, you are still my land member when I am FC, right? And yeah, I always tell the new FCs to think like that, and I always try to not disrupt the new FCs when I was following their fleet because I think they are FCs, right? They are the FC of the fleet, so they are the commander. I shouldn't disrupt them. If I have advices to give, I have to wait till the fleet ends, right? I think that's the way to go.
Nice. Do you have a favorite fleet commander that you like to fly against?
I like to fly against. Wow, this is
Someone
a
from
hard question.
another group that you've enjoyed matching your fleet against and you'd like a rematch?
I can't think about a particular FC right now, but I really like basically almost all the wormhole FCs because they are more respectful and they usually don't trash talk and they always it's more like because they have been on the weaker side, so they know the feeling of fighting a unfair fight, so they will tend to give you a good fight instead of like hot dropping or blobs. Yeah, so I think I like to fight wormhole FCs.
Nice.
Now, when you're not commanding fleets, what do you like to do in EVE?
Wow, this is a hard question. I think what I did is actually just I was just like every other no side player in EVE. I just do writing maybe, and sometimes I go filaments myself. Yeah, and yeah, I even do explorations. Like I just fly a astro and just scan sites and stuff. Yeah, I don't think being an FC is really that different because I basically do everything. FCing is just an add-on. It's not like my whole life, right?
Okay.
Now, with Winter Coalition and the fact well, how many languages are you able to speak?
Okay, so my native language is Chinese, and I've been in America for 4 years, so English is fine to me. And I have learned 3 years of German. Ich kann manchmal Deutsch sprechen, aber mein Deutsch ist schlecht. Yeah, and I have learned 1 year of Spanish, 1 year of Greek, and 1 year of Latin. Yeah, so I can understand just some basic Spanish.
Oh, we got a polyglot. How many languages are there in Winter Coalition? And I presume you sometimes have to do translation for them.
Wow, that's quite a lot. Okay, so from what I know, Winter Coalition has at least, I think at least 6 languages. So Chinese, English, Deutsch, Espanol, French, and Russian.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, it's actually I think Winter Coalition is considered a Chinese coalition, but it's actually very diverse. There are lots of people from different countries here. Yeah.
I imagine also the rental groups that comes in handy as well, because I see they've roped you into helping manage Azure citizens.
Mm-hmm.
So do you use those language skills when you're working with them?
Yeah, I still remember. Okay, so basically, renters speak 3 languages. I think most people speak English. Some people speak Chinese, and there are some people speak Russian. But the problem for me is that I don't know Russian, and there are actually no alliance level people who can speak Russian properly. So when I was talking with the Russian renters, I have to use translations. Yeah, and it was really, really fun actually, because I was trying to use Russian to talk with him, and he was trying to use English to talk with me. So like we both use translators, and it makes everything really funny. But yeah, we did well. I think we can understand each other, so there's no big problems. Yeah, but it was really fun.
Now, with managing Azure Citizen, how did this come to pass? How did you get given this job?
Okay, the reason is quite simple as well. So there has to be a person to do this, right? So Nora just asked me, "Do you want to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" Right? I haven't tried it, so why not just try to do the stuff and be a rental manager? It's so cool, right? Imagine being a rental manager. Not lots of people did that in Eve, right? Yeah, so I just got into that, and I actually set it up everything for Azure Citizen. Yeah, and now I have passed it to Penguin, who is also a fraternity Chinese member. Yeah, and everything went well, I think.
This is quite a lot of work. FCing, rental management. I mean, with I think other groups, NC Dot has Vince leading the fleets and Lady Scarlet managing the renters. But you're doing both. What drives you to take on a double burden? All of this.
I think the reason I will tell you is that I love this game and I love every part of this game. But the true reason behind this is that everyone knows that American college students does nothing, right? So I have all the time to play games. So maybe that's the reason.
You're not supposed to say that part out loud, but that's great. What's the most challenging part of managing a rental group?
The most challenging part for managing rental group, I think there are 2 parts. So the first part is get them advertised. So like you have to tell people that we have a rental program, right? Or otherwise they don't even know, so they won't come. So I think that's one of the hardest thing, and it's also one of the earliest things I did is to advertise. Yeah, and the second hard part I think is setting up everything, because we were just getting branch and channel back then, and all the iHubs and upgrades are not installed. So time during those days are basically renters poke me every day because they need the iHub upgrades. So I have to either install them myself or tell someone else to do it. It's quite hard. We have a lot of sheets for those because we have to manage them accordingly, and we have to avoid waste because iHub upgrades are really expensive. So we have to do them in order so that we don't waste too much money. Yeah, it's actually quite hard, and it burns people out because you have to go there yourself with either a industrial or freighter, right? It's really hard just to fly around and install upgrades. Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of tracking just to remember which upgrades are already installed where and check with them, and have you raised the ADM high enough that I can install the next one, and will you tell me when you get it there so I can go over and install it, and explaining the mechanics to them that the benefits won't kick in until after downtime and all that. Yeah,
Candace knows everything.
That sounds like a logistics supply chain nightmare. That's so.
Because the problem sorry, Candace.
With renters. With renters, there is this really awkward and I guess elephant in the room, the $1 million question, something that's a lot of renting groups and particularly Frat has been accused of. Botting.
Wow, yeah, that's a heavy question, and I'm actually accused by bots quite a lot of times. Yeah, like whenever they know that I'm Chinese, they always use the same method to accuse me. Like you all use bots, and the thing I have to say is that they are bots in fraternity, and there are more bots in association. That is true. That is actually quite true. But so the problem for botting is that you cannot detect it beforehand. Like the only way you can detect a bot is by watching him or like check the ESI data. So there's no way to prevent bots. So that's the hard part. So by this reason, there are always bots in your lines. Like no matter which lines, it's just impossible to get off with those. Yeah, but I actually did something against the bots. Like personally, I killed 3 supers and 1 carriers in my alliance, and actually in my corp myself, because we suspect that they are bots, and we test several times that they are actually bots and they must be AFK botting, right? So we just kill them ourselves. I believe that fraternity actually killed over, I think, at least 15 super capitals because they are botting. And the thing about a third citizen, it's even harder because they are not living within fraternity space. So the only way we can know that someone is bot is by someone reporting them. Like there are lots of people who are from other alliances that report me. That they tell me that someone in some system in some ship, most time each stars are botting, and I will check them. Like there are a lot of methods to check if someone is bot, and if they are actually bots, we will kick them. And also we even kick corps. Like there are actually botting corps in Astro Citizen. I think I kicked at least 2, and someone kicked another one. So like there are at least 3 botting corps that are kicked from Astro Citizen. Yeah, it's actually quite difficult, and since I'm always accused by using bots as a Chinese, I tend to put more effort on that because I really want to get off of that name, right? It's really bad. It feels really bad. But I get it. I understand because they are actually bots. But what I want to say is that botting is actually really common in this game, not only in Chinese alliances, right? So we have to work this out together as a team, as you players. We are on the same side, right? You, me, and everyone is on the same side to fight bots. So maybe we shouldn't accuse some particular people or some particular alliance for those illegal things, right?
Yeah. I'll tell you what I do with my rental group. I run an alliance called the Bastion, and we have a rental group also, and we require ESI to be put in by all the CEOs of the rental group. And I have a report that the IT team made that pulls ratting ticks for me. And I can look at it, and if it looks like someone's botting, I speak to the CEO of the corporation that has that player in it. And I say, go and check on this person. Here in our term sheet, as you know, we don't allow any botting in this rental program. Go and talk to them and make sure they aren't botting. If they are, kick them. If you have a problem, come back and talk to me, and we'll see what we can work out. And if it's a director in the corp, then I just kick the corp out of the program, because we can't. It's more important that we don't have botting in the game than that I get income from that group that month. That's not a big deal. But I don't know. Maybe your IT team can give you something like that too.
With all the time
they already have it.
With all the time I've spent roaming and going through all 41 nullsec regions, and out of all the bots that were banned by reports, I counted perhaps 4% of them. I can say this with certainty: botting an RMT is not something that's limited by coalition borders, by alliance borders, by any kind of borders. It is an issue that will be present in all facets of EVE Online, whether they are in a coalition or an alliance, or there's no language barrier between with RMT and botting.
Yeah, like as long as there are bots, there will be people who use that, right? And also speaking about IT team, yeah, we actually have the same thing, or at least the similar thing. So we can detect their bounty game pattern. So for some people, there are actually people who use bot 23 hours every day. Like it's so obvious, and we just kick them right away. That's so hilarious. Like they just use each star to rat 23 hours. Like, yeah, it's really bad sometimes.
Yeah. So, in speaking about Winter Coalition and fraternity, what do you think outsiders might have a misconception about the group? Do you understand my question?
Yep.
What do you wish people would really understand about fraternity? Like, for example, some of us were just surprised to hear how many languages are spoken in Winter Coalition.
Yeah. I think other than the boating stuff, I think there's a huge misunderstanding of Winter Coalition because it's actually nearly half Chinese, half English speaking people. So it's not really a Chinese alliance or Chinese coalition. So back when we were in OSY, which is in the curse, like the OSY system in the south, like the angel systems. Back then we were basically all Chinese, but now Winter Coalition is more like a international alliance. Yeah, we just have people from everywhere, and it's not really a Chinese alliance or Chinese coalition anymore. I think that's one of the biggest misunderstanding, and I have to speak for our English members.
Excellent.
Now, with Winter Coalition, well, what can you tell me about the members? What constitutes the Winter Coalition?
Sorry, the work constitute?
Well, which alliances make Winterco?
Okay. Wow, I have a long list for that. Let me check the list. Okay, here. Winter Coalition. Okay, so we have Fraternity, as we all know, and the Blades of Grass, Demonic Wheat Pineapple, which is outlines of Blade of Grass and also Lord of Wars alliance. I think this is European alliance, yeah, and also Destiny's Call. This is a German alliance, I believe. Sense of Pain, Literally Triggered, Kalajus alliance, which is a Japanese alliance and was previously in DarKdeZ coalition, and also Space Potato Alliance, which is a English Academy alliance, and also Fraternity University, which is a Chinese or mainly Chinese Academy alliance. Yeah. So we actually have quite a lot of alliances in the coalition, not like just fraternity.
Wow. There is actually there's a guest that wants to jump in a little bit. I think you know him. His name is Penguin. Do you mind if we let him jump in and say hi?
Yep, of course.
Have him join the public channel. We'll drag him in. Could be a little bit spontaneous and flexible.
Sure. In the meanwhile, it makes me curious. With all these language as a polyglot, there was another person I also interviewed a while ago who also spoke multiple languages, and she was an excellent spy. She disbanded an entire coalition, and she was one of the signatures that did it. Did you ever do a bit of spying?
Okay. Hey, what's up, Penguin?
You guys hear me well?
Yep. Okay,
Hello,
let me
Penguin.
answer the question first, maybe. So for the spying, I won't say spying, even though I have multiple characters in different alliances. I'd like to say it's more like experiencing, because I was really not doing any spying stuff. I was just trying to experience playstyle from different alliances, because every alliance, of course, has their unique alliance values, right? So I really want to see things out of fraternity and out of Winter Coalition. So that's the reason I have multiple characters in other alliances. I was really not doing spying, and I think this is a well-known secret, is that there are a lot of spying network in EVE Online, and basically every big alliances, they have all the pings from every other alliance. So there's really no point for me to do spying myself because they are already there, right? Yeah, so I was just playing around.
Well, has this experience given you sympathy for other alliances and other groups, or has it strengthened your belief in fraternity?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Has it? Have you gotten, I guess, any sympathy or about different views now that you've been in other alliances, or has it strengthened how much you believe in fraternity?
Oh, I see. Okay. So from experiencing in other alliances, I feel like fraternity is great. Well, okay, so because fraternity is actually the biggest Chinese community you can ever found, and also the diversity of fraternity or the intercoalition is actually very different because I can actually speak Chinese as my main language, but as well speak other language to other members, and you can't really get this kind of experience in other coalitions, right? Like in Papi or Tapi before, right? There are only several Chinese corps, but there are no really Chinese alliances. And yeah, so I feel proud of being in fraternity.
Has there anything that the other alliances or that you feel might have done better, or lessons you learned from them?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. So I don't know if this is a Chinese thing or English thing, but I do feel that most English alliances or English-based alliances are more organized. So everything is more organized than fraternity. Even in winter coalition, the English alliances are more organized than fraternity. So I think that's just a race thing. I don't know, but like Chinese people, they tend to do group chats instead of using forums. So basically, all the important informations are really hard to keep. So it's really hard to find certain information in fraternity, but it's quite different in English alliances because everything is so organized, and there are like pages, there are websites, there are forums for everyone to find the thing you need. And I think that might be a thing that fraternity can improve.
Nice. So we have a guest penguin who jumped in here. Could you take a moment and introduce yourself to the audience? Some of them are listening to a podcast afterwards. So tell us about yourself.
So I am the FRT rental manager after dark. So after she went AFK, I took this kind of job. And then for now, I just play as a rental manager, and I PvP in the Tuskers, with the Tuskers.
Oh, wow. Nice. Some more small gang representing.
Mm-hmm. And Penguin is most known as one of my, or not one of, the best student of mine. Right, Penguin?
High praise. That's high praise.
Okay, he's not responding, so he disagree. All right.
Penguin, Bouillon
Yeah, so she actually helped me like to find my, I don't know, my preferred game style, play style. Because before I met her, all I used to do was ratting. and I found it like very, very boring, and I wanted just to quit the game. But after I met her, she introduced me to PvP, and I started solo PvP and stuff. And last September, I joined Tuskers.
Now,
Wow, that's a whole PvP group in this game, Tuskers.
what motivated you to come on the show today and say hello to
Yeah,
us?
I just wanted to like maybe help her. I don't know, explain some things clear, maybe.
Go for it.
Oh, like I don't have anything to say for now, but maybe like after.
Okay, so he's just here just to be a helper boy, right?
Yeah.
Trying to be. We do not.
Well,
Nice.
with all of the renting going on, how many regions does Winter Coalition control, including the renting regions?
Oh, well, that's quite a lot. Okay, so Oasa and the Paragon Falls, they are in Zhong area, and we have Branch or part of Tenao. So those are in the north, and also we have Way of Silent and Tribute. Yeah, so basically 6 regions. We had Decklin as well before, but we sold that, so only 6 now.
And how many
Oh.
does Fraternity? How many does Winter Coalition need?
Okay, this is a good question. So we are renting out Oasa, Paragon Fall, Branch and Tenao. So 4 out of 6 are rented out. And there's a particular reason. It's not like we can't fill that many spaces, but we want people to be together so that we are not separated, so that we are stronger as a whole. So that's the reason we stick into 1 or 2 regions, so that not only will be stronger, but also like the green light will be easier to form, because basically all the caps and supers are within 1 region, which is easier for jumping.
Is the Greenlight Supercarrier umbrella fleet designed to extend over all of the rental regions or just the core region?
Just the core regions.
Just the core region, because
and it's let's say very aggressive umbrella.
Yeah,
we've heard stories, or we've seen it ourselves. Actually,
I've experienced it myself. I've personally lost a few things to it and killed a few things too. With this, is there plans to expand it? I understand there's things going on in Declan, there's things going on in Pure Blind, there's things potentially going on in Fade. Are there any intentions to expand this, or would that divide the forces too much?
Okay, so yeah, like you said, we are afraid of separating people too much. So there's no point for a alliance to hold too many spaces. Like for example, Tappy is moving to Delve, while they are giving up Omist and I believe Fatabolis, right? So like a certain coalition has to stick together to keep themselves strong. So you have to give up something. You can't just conquering all the map, right? You have to choose a place to develop and stick on that. And also, if you hold too much place and you are not making enough money, or you are not having enough tax for it, the fee from CCP for having iHubs is huge. It's quite huge. You know, you have to pay CCP every month for all the iHubs. So that's quite a lot of money.
That's true. Okay, so Winter Coalition is happy with the size of their rental empire. and their space and their footprint. That's what I'm hearing.
And also, it's kind of lucky for fraternity because it's really far away from World B, right? Even though we still participate in the World B every day or even several times a day, but it's still not our home space, right? For Tappy, it's their home space that they are fighting, and also for goons, but not for us. We are really far away from Delve and pure bases. So that's more like one more good point to mention, because we are in the war, but we are not that affected by the war. So we are more like the U.S. during the World War II, right? So they are participating in the war, but the war is not fighting on their mainland, so they are not that affected. And we are like in a situation like this. And I believe that after the World B, we won't have as many space as we have now, because we will reset all the standings except for a few alliances, right? That's a fact we all know. So we will have more enemies, meanwhile more opportunities. Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay.
Well, I understand that. Penguin mentioned you went AFK for a period of time. When you're not playing EVE Online, well, what do you like to do?
Okay, so since I'm a student, I was just joking, like I have to do schoolwork, right? So, but other than schoolwork, I enjoy playing games. Like in general, I play games. I like reading. Yeah, and since the COVID is here, and it's especially bad in America right now, so I don't really have any outside activities to do. So basically, reading and playing games. Oh yeah, and also I just remembered I do translating. So I'm a professional translator for multiple games. I think the most known games are Dota 2 and Escape from Tarkov, and I also do several other games that are less popular but still well known. Yeah, and that's kind of my job. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of space jobs, there's it's CSM season.
Mm-hmm.
Have you given any thought to CSM 16?
I'm actually running for CSM 16 this year. Yeah, it's basically a thing I always want to try. Besides the Alliance tournament, is because I think I really love this game. If it's the best, I mean my favorite game of all time, and I'm not sure
Mine
about
too.
this, but I believe that I do have some game knowledge to really help this game to develop, because like I said, I tried too many things. I think most players, they stick to one playstyle or two. Like if you are a no-side player, you basically stay in no-side all the time. And if you are a high-side player, you do that as well. But I'm a bit different because I basically tried everything everywhere. So, and I feel like we don't really have a lot of candidates that have the ability to that have the experience of these, right? So most candidates, they focus on one thing. For example, this year we have poachman candidates, we have no-side candidates, we have high-side candidates, but there are not really a person that can really mix the stuff together. So for example, me as a PvP player, I was I'm the Alliance FC who drops supers on the small guns. But on the other side, I am also the small gun who occasionally gets dropped by supers. So I know the two side feelings. So for example, maybe one day I want to make a super capital change. I will actually think about that, both as a capital dropper, but also as a person who got dropped, right? So in this way, I think it's better for this game to not get tunnel vision and get a more diversity vision of the game. And that's the reason I want to run CSM this year.
Well, you certainly have no shortage of ambition, seeing your rapid rise since joining Tranquility in 2018.
Yes, I joined Fraternity in 2018. Mm-hmm.
My God, from in 2 years to NFC, handling home defense, small gang mastery, and, well, this. 2 years or 3? No, it's 2021 now. It's 3 years now. How time flies.
Mm-hmm. I don't think this is a bit arrogant, and arrogant is definitely not one of the values in Chinese culture, but yeah, I don't think I did really bad on everything. Even though usually people always say that if you do everything a little bit, you will get bad at everything. But like PvP wise, I am a Alliance FC. Small gun wise, I'm flying in one of the best small gun PvP groups in this game. So, I don't think I'm that bad, right? So
Nice,
I want
you have to bring a gang out to Esoteria.
Sorry, what?
You have to bring a gang out to Esoteria. I think that'd be fun. It's easier for you to come visit me than for me to go visit you.
Okay, so for these days, I actually don't go to workspace a lot because you will occasionally you just jump through a gate and you see like 200 people behind the gate and you have nothing to do, right?
Yeah.
The thing you will meet during war times in war zones.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will watch for your name now, or in local.
And I'll watch.
Oh
I'll watch your progress with great interest.
so much.
We don't know the schedule for the Anger Games games yet either, but I'll watch for you there too.
Okay, so the first game starts on this Saturday, which is 24th April, and I believe that there are one games each week on Saturday until the final day. Yeah, it's a relatively long schedule, but I think you will enjoy it because we don't have alliance tournaments nowadays, and it's basically the only tournament we can watch. So yeah, and all the strong teams are there. It should be really interesting to watch.
I missed the Alliance tournament. It was great. But I'm looking forward to Anger Games. Well, I want to say thank you for coming on the stream today, for letting us interview you and introduce you to the EVE community. You're a really interesting, unusual player, and the EVE community needs to know about you.
Oh, that's my honor and my pleasure. And yeah, I think you overestimate me. I'm just a normal player, maybe just have more time than most people because because of the COVID and all the stuff, and maybe I just put more time into the game than most people. Yeah, but thank you for your kind words.
Before we wrap up, is there anything that you wish to say?
Maybe I can answer some stream questions? Because I was thinking all the time. I didn't have time to look at the chat, and maybe people will have some questions that I can answer.
They did ask you one question, which was, do you have any public opinion on the subject of Army of Mango?
Oh, okay, Army of Mango. This is actually hard to answer because it evolves in a lot of stuff back in Serenity. Okay, so I'll put it in short. So basically, quite a lot of players in Fraternity right now lost the war against PIBC in Serenity, and the Army of Mangoes are basically the PIBC in Tranquility. So there are like some, let me see the word,
Bad blood.
like old hatred stuff, like old hates, because some people, actually containing me, I lost to PIBC in Serenity as well. So yeah, there are some hates between us, and yeah, and we all know that China has a long history of fighting ourselves, right? We have 2,000 years of history of fighting each other. So I don't know, maybe that's part of Chinese culture. So yeah, we are fighting hard to each other.
Well, I hope none of the fraternity FCs realizes I'm Chinese. I don't want to get dropped twice as hard.
Okay, don't you think exploration needs a bit of change since the last update? Yeah, I like to explore. I totally agree with that because most of the PV content are really stable at this stage. Like even something in exploration, they are as old as back to 2003, back when the game was only developed, right? So there are not actually many changes in explorations and also anomalies. I really wish to change that, maybe add some diversities, maybe add some more possibilities into those. Mm-hmm. Let me see.
I think I'm pooped out of questions now.
Yeah.
I think we've asked quite a lot and got quite a bit covered, and hopefully more people should know about you in the coming future.
Yeah, I really wish people can maybe get a better impression on basically all the Chinese, and maybe found this interview interesting, because I was honestly really nervous because I thought I might be really boring, and so I really hope everyone enjoy this.
Well, thank you.
Oh, boring. Certainly not. From dropping supers on people to getting supers dropped on you, I'd say not many people have that experience. And the languages and Run to Alliance leadership, I'd say, well, I can't think of anybody anywhere close. And I'm glad to be able to have this opportunity to bring you on. People can trust you to speak on behalf of fraternity due to your diplomatic role, and you can be used as a diplomatic contact for fraternity in the future.
I really hope so. And the one thing about fraternity is that because we don't really have lots of English speaking Alliance XX, so usually the only one who show the face of fraternity is Noras, right? And I believe that you guys should have watched lots of his interview. But I want to tell something. I want to tell you is that we don't really only have Noras as our face. So we have lots of people who work hard for this alliance and are willing to to tell you guys the different side or the unique side of fraternity. Yeah, that's one thing I want to state.
Thank you. I believe tomorrow there is a show on for the incursions. I believe it will be somebody from Warp to Me, but today this is Dark, or D as she prefers to be called, but her in-game name is DarKdeZ Ever, and she is a representative of fraternity, and we're glad to have her on.
Yeah, this has been a special interview, but tomorrow will be a normal show at 0000 hours Eve time. And I'd like to invite you to click follow or subscribe if you enjoy the content. This is Talking in Stations. This has been Rich Richmond and Carneros. And it's been our pleasure and honor to talk to Penguin and DarKdeZ. Thank you all for coming.